And I think the more I travel and the more I experience other properties, I do realize that we're so fortunate with the team that we have. And, I guess that's what keeps our guests coming back. Our repeat clientele is just absolutely fabulous. And the reason they come back is not just for the beautiful hotel and the atmosphere and so on. It's the team. So, they regulars can just sit down at breakfast and their usual coffee comes over. They don't even have to ask for it. We know that they drink a strong flat white and it appears at the table. And I think it's just those little things that, just really make all the difference. We've still got all those old school nightly turn down, departure gifts, welcome drink on arrival. So it's all those little special touches, nice little handwritten welcome card. It makes all the difference, I think.
Hello, my name is Renae Leith-Manos. Welcome to this podcast, Where to From Here, featuring conversations about luxury travel and how it's changing in every pocket of the globe. Hi guys, well today I'm sitting in Cabarita in New South Wales and I'm slightly embarrassed to say it's taken me years to get to this luxury boutique hotel, Halcyon House. I've been here one night and it has absolutely blown me away. The interiors are stunning. I'm sitting here in this gorgeous room, which is just literally meters from the ocean. I can hear the ocean outside. There's a magnificent swimming pool. I had a beautiful 3-course meal last night with matching wines in the restaurant. Now, I do also have to confess that so many of you write to me and say, where can I find luxury in Australia? And my response is often, well, it's a struggle, not now. This is the sexiest, most luxurious place I've ever stayed in Australia. And I'm so lucky that the GM is here with me at the hotel and we're just going to have a chat about everything. Laura Proctor, what lovely to meet you and to be staying in your hotel.
Oh, fantastic. It's lovely to have you here, Renae. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And I want you to first share the story behind this magnificent hotel with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it started back in 2011 and two very clever, talented sisters, Alicia and Siobhan Bickle from Brisbane, purchased this property. So it was an old surfer motel built in the late 60s. Needed a little bit of love and care, and they originally purchased it with the idea to make it as their beach house. So they have lovely families, lots of children, and
11. I read they have 11 children. Is that right?
Well, no, not quite 11. One has 4, one has 5, so close.
Okay.
I think then they started to sort of think outside the box and thought, I think we could do something even more amazing with this place. So decided to pop the top level on, the restaurant wing, and opened it as Halcyon House in 2015. So together with the help of Virginia Kerridge, amazing architect who really mimicked those Spanish archways at the front of the hotel throughout the restaurant. And then also later, a few years later, when they built the Halcyon Wellness, also popped those Spanish archways in there. And then the amazing Anna Spiro did the interior design in both the hotel and the Halcyon Wellness.
I have to say the interiors, we were talking about the Firmdale group in London, you and I, before we got online for the interview. And it is a little bit similar. Firmdale's a very famous boutique hotel, a luxury chain in London, and they have very similar interiors because there's fabric on the walls here. There's a lot of colour. There's a beautiful blue and white theme. This is an Instagrammer's dream.
It is, absolutely. I think the amazing thing about this hotel is there's only 22 rooms. So it's very small. It's very boutique. It has 19 hotel rooms, 2 2-bedroom suites and 1 1-bedroom suite. And every room is different. So there's a different theme, different colours, different furnishings, different fabrics that have been collected from all over the world.
And tell us some stories. I mean, have wealthy people booked the whole thing out? Have you had any celebrities here? Because it really does feel like a very upscale celebrity-style hotel.
Oh, absolutely. We've had some amazing guests. I will keep those names fairly quiet, though. But we've had some fabulous events. And, we even had in our beautiful 1-bedroom suite a few years ago, we had Chic playing. So pretty spectacular.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Laura, have you had anyone actually book out the entire hotel?
Yes, many times over the last 10 years. I guess it's because it's such a, a small boutique hotel. Um, buyouts are quite common for weddings,
Yeah.
certainly in the past, but very sort of low key weddings. Not it's Cabarita Beach isn't sort of your really loud sort of party kind of atmosphere. It's all really about the food, about good wine, great company. Really sort of experiencing special times together, being on the beach, being able to duck out down and have a quick surf before lunch, or after breakfast, having some yoga in the morning. So it's I guess it's very holistic, so you've got that mindfulness and a great package really.
And how much does it cost to book out the whole venue? And do you have to do it for a minimum of a certain number of nights or?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, midweek we do have just one night stays. That's very becoming very popular with incentive groups and corporate retreats and so on. Also, multi-gen, that just want to have that, special sort of family birthday, I guess, with all their, close loved ones. But it does. It's not cheap. It comes up, starts at about $100,000 for a weekend. But you do get exclusive use of the hotel. So you do have, the restaurant. You have the beautiful
Yes.
pool area, the 22 rooms. And lots of opportunity there to have some fantastic festivities.
I think, frankly, that's $100,000 well spent. It's such a
Yes.
beautiful place. And the light here is really, really good for photos. I mean, obviously, I've been taking loads of photos for my social media in the mornings, in the afternoons, and the white walls just make you look very, very flattering, right?
Yes. It definitely helps. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I
And
love that contrast.
and the blue and white, it's quite Greek. I know you mentioned Spanish before, but there's
Yes.
also a lot of books around about Greece. Is there a Greek connection here at all?
No, there isn't a Greek connection, but it's funny that you say that because we do get a lot of our guests do have that sort of, I guess, Greek sort of connection, and do
Mm.
mention that we've had a lot of Hamptons sort of similarities.
Yes.
Definitely Italian Capri, of course, because we do have that sort of background with our first GM who was here, and he was from JK Place in Capri, so
Oh, I
he
didn't
put a
know that.
wonderful Italian sort of stamp on the property as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, do you get a lot of overseas guests? Like, what percentage of guests that stay at Halcyon House are Australian versus international?
Yeah, I think it's almost back to what our pre-COVID numbers were. So it's around the 20% would be inbound guests, and the other 80% is domestic. So it's still very much a heavily domestic clientele here.
And do people like, excuse my ignorance, because I have not been to Queensland. I realise we're in New South Wales, but the Gold Coast is just up the road, and you do fly into the Gold Coast airport. Do people pair this with some days at the Gold Coast, or do they go to Byron? How does it normally work in terms of the holiday destination that you are and where people go before and after?
Yeah, that is a great question. We're finding more and more, especially with our inbound market, are using Halcyon House as a great sort of central base. So,
Mm,
because we're only 15 minutes from the Gold Coast airport, they'll do a day trip, especially up to that southern part of the Gold Coast, which is so iconic, Burleigh Heads and so on. And it's
yes.
beautiful to do that headland walk and so on, and have a lovely meal overlooking the waves there. But it's also only half an hour from Byron Bay, so
Yes.
people love to do the day trip down to Byron Bay, and obviously tick that off their bucket list, go up to the lighthouse, but then come back to Halcyon, and to, I guess, the calmness of Cabarita Beach. So we're so close to the hinterland, so you can obviously have those beautiful hikes. Springbrook National
Mm,
Park is very close as well. We've got beautiful restaurants in the area, so there's a half dozen that we definitely recommend to our guests. One well and truly within walking distance, just directly across the road. So that's number 35. And that's
wow.
Daniel Medcalf and Rachel Duffy, who are formerly of Icebergs in Sydney. So
Are
we've
you
got some
joking?
fabulous, fabulous restaurants. Just over in Murwillumbah, we've got two girls from Movita who've set up
Ah,
a restaurant called Bistro Livy. And a couple of really fabulous places that we do recommend to guests. So it's nice because it's not just about the hotel anymore, which it was
yes.
10 years ago. People were making the journey just for the hotel. But I guess travelers, they're changing now, and they want the whole experience.
Yeah, wow. And in terms of perhaps some of those restaurateurs and the broader community around here, are there a lot of people that actually sort of retire or relocate for the sea change up to this area in Cabarita?
There are. It's interesting. There are a lot of holiday houses. So as you head north between the hotel and Kingscliff, there's a lovely area called Casuarina, and we have bikes here at the hotel, and a lot of our guests cycle north and sort of
Wow.
through these amazing houses, and a lot of them are just beach houses. So they're people from Sydney and Melbourne that come up during the holidays. So it's always a lot busier during the holiday time. But yeah, a lot of those houses, unfortunately, aren't filled throughout the term time.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? And you've had a very interesting, career within the luxury hotel industry. I know you're from Ipswich, but you worked in London. How did your previous experience prepare you for this role at Halcyon House?
I guess, yeah, I did grow up in Ipswich, and I came from a family that was very much entertaining. So I grew up in a beautiful old house, which has been in my family for over 100 years now. So entertaining was just part of our household. It's a beautiful National Trust house. So we often had it open for public display. We did lots of fundraisers. So it was always fabulous. And I paired up with my mum at a very young age, helping set up these beautiful parties and so on. So I guess it's just in my blood.
Wow.
I've grown up entertaining and, very much sort of providing beautiful food and beverage and so on. And it just led me a little bit further into that when I finished school. Working for various hotels, and then took me across to London, where I worked more for investment companies in Pall Mall, looking after their food and beverage teams and providing their executives with amazing experiences.
Oh, wow. I was just last week sitting at, is it 46 Pall Mall, the private members club?
Yes, okay. Look at you.
Well, it is my job, but it was actually a friend who invited me there. He's relocated from Bali to back to London. And what an amazing, those private members clubs, they really are pretty special and something that doesn't really work in Australia with our culture, does it?
Yes, yeah, I agree. I agree. Only in London, or maybe a few other places as well.
Yes, no, it's interesting. And I know Soho House is one of the most successful members clubs globally, although actually not doing that well financially at the moment. But they have been talking about coming to Australia for, I think, like a decade. They have purchased a property reportedly in Surrey Hills and
Is
still
that
haven't done
right?
anything. Yeah, no, it's been sitting
Oh,
there. Yeah,
that's
just in Surrey Hills, Darlinghurst, in a pocket. It's a whole building. They're
oh
quite a
wow.
prominent building that's just sitting there and they haven't
Yes.
touched it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that could be very interesting.
Yes, it could. It really would, because I feel like this is a little bit. It does remind me of the UK sitting here in your hotel, but even better than the UK because you've got the incredible warm interiors with lots of colour. And most Australian interiors people, in this country, won't experiment with lots of colour. Whereas this hotel is rich with colour, and yet you've got the ocean next door, which you certainly don't have in the UK.
I think that's also the great thing about the northern rivers as well as you can swim all year round. I mean, the
Yes.
water
Yes.
temperature is still around 19, 20 degrees and it's the middle of winter. It's incredible. And the days, I mean, I think it's going to be 25 or 26 degrees today. So
Oh,
how lucky are
beautiful.
we?
I know, and this is winter.
Yes. Yes.
And tell me, there's not many female GMs in luxury hotels globally, or even in senior roles. I mean, how did you reach this level, and why do you think? I mean, I know we have children, we have families, but frankly, I was a single mum for a long time, and I think that really equips GMs with the skills to run hotels. Why aren't there more, do you think?
Gosh, yeah, that is a good question. I mean, it's definitely a challenge.
Mm,
Juggling the, motherhood and then also
yes,
working as well. And I mean, there are so many things that you miss out, in your family and day to day things and so on. But I guess it's quite rewarding the fact that, you do have your family at home and you want to spend as much time as possible with them. But I think it makes you a better mum or a better
yes,
parent, I should say. You're obviously providing a very good example to your children
100%.
about how you can, really have that work life balance as long as you
Yes,
keep it in check. I think that's really important. But I guess, do you know what? I think it's always. It's really interesting because a lot of the parents here at the hotel are some of the most amazing workers and the
wow.
most reliable as well. they
believe
make it happen. They make it happen. If a child's sick at home, they're getting chores done at home, and they're sending me emails, and yeah, absolutely interesting. We've got a great diverse staff here, and I guess that's what makes my job so easy is the team that we have here. I'm so
No,
very
I could feel that. I mean, even when I checked in yesterday with my friend, they didn't rush us because I was so excited. As I said, I literally have waited years to get here. I didn't know what to expect. And I had read that this was a motel conversion. And I have to confess, I thought it was going to be a bit daggy. Boy, was I wrong. And I arrived, and all I wanted to do was explore and start filming. I was so excited. And your staff didn't hassle me. Normally, they'd be like, oh, look, yes, but sit down, please. Give us your credit card. Talk to us. They were nothing of the sort. They said, go for it. I was like, yay. They were just so supportive. And then they came and gave us a glass of champagne, which was beautiful. We
oh,
checked in like
wonderful.
2 hours later. They said, do you want some lunch first? I really liked that approach. They were really reading the situation that I didn't want to do the paperwork right now. Obviously, I wasn't going to run out the door and not pay for anything. But yeah, it was a really welcoming and a really warm feeling to find that because it's rare.
Yes, I definitely agree, Renee. And I think the more I travel and the more I experience other properties, I do realize that we're so fortunate with the team that we
Mm,
have. And, I guess that's what keeps our guests coming back. Our repeat clientele is just absolutely fabulous. And the reason they come back is not just for the beautiful hotel and the atmosphere and so on. It's the team. So
yes.
they regulars can just sit down at breakfast and their usual coffee comes over. They don't even have to ask for it. We know that they drink a strong flat white and it appears at the table. And I think it's
Brilliant.
just those little things that just really make all the difference. We've still got all those old school nightly turn down, departure gifts, welcome drink on arrival. So it's all those little special touches, nice little handwritten welcome card. It makes all the difference, I think.
I agree. And I was going to say, I think those little touches are more important than ever because I know that, and I've just been in Spain as well, that they're doing a lot more of that. It's a lot more of back to the future in terms of really appreciating your guests and, as you do and giving them those, turn down. I just love turn down. Who doesn't love turn down?
I
And I'm
love
so
turn
excited to see what are we going to get?
I know, that's so true. I get so excited when I travel and I come back to the room after dinner and there's something special there waiting and it's just so lovely. I love it.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. So tell me about your travel. I mean, obviously being in this role, where do you go to get inspired? Do you look at luxury? What are your favorite destinations?
Oh gosh, I have so many favorite destinations. I do obviously like to travel domestically. I like to see, what else is on offer in Australia. I just recently stayed, or not recently, a couple of months ago, stayed at Sequoia Lodge
Oh,
in the Adelaide Hills, and that is just absolutely stunning. And then they have Mount Lofty House
yes,
next
that's
door.
Malcolm Bean.
Yes, he's fabulous. Yeah,
He's,
so I
he's
met
very
him.
inspiring.
Oh, he's so lovely. He's a
Yes,
lovely man. I met him just over 3 years ago at Virtuoso Travel Week in Las Vegas, and we
right.
connected before that via telephone, and then met in the flesh over there. And he's just he's so lovely, and he obviously has that beautiful reef house up in Palm Cove as well,
Yes,
which
he
I'm going
invited me
to.
up there. He's been on the
Oh,
podcast and I've been up there. And I
oh,
really
great!
admire his business model. He's very, very clever. That's targeting
So
a much
clever.
older market than you're targeting here.
Oh,
But it's a really savvy model. And in my consulting about luxury hotels, I talk about that model a lot.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, he's very clever, and I've met Wayne Harris, who's his GM
Yes.
up there, and we're going up in a couple of weeks to with a big group of friends to celebrate my husband's 50th. So I'm looking forward to that because
Oh,
I've never been, and I've been meaning to go for so long. And Malcolm's just, why haven't you been? Well, I'm
yes,
coming, I'm
yes.
coming. So I'm excited about that.
Beautiful.
Where else? Oh, look, it's been a few years, but probably one of my most memorable trips was to a group of hotels in Sri Lanka called Teardrop Hotels, and
Right.
they are just stunning, very boutique. Some of them only have 4 rooms, but absolutely beautiful, dotted all around Sri Lanka, and just absolutely gorgeous. One of my husband's friends is a co-owner or has a partnership in these hotels, so we were very
Wow.
fortunate to go on a bit of a mission and check out all of these amazing places. But yeah, definitely Sri Lanka. And I, it's just so quiet. They've done it tough in the last sort of 5-6
They
years.
really have. They
Yeah,
really have.
probably even longer actually. It was probably about 7 years ago that they had that terrible incident. But tourism's gradually increasing, but they've got a long way to go. So I definitely recommend Sri Lanka to a lot of my friends.
Did you meet the Edens when you were there, Joe and Jack Eden?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
No.
because they own some luxury houses within Sri
Oh,
Lanka. They're British, and in fact, one of the Edens was Prime Minister of England at one stage. So but they
yes.
they left the
I thought that.
UK many years ago,
Oh,
and
fabulous.
live in Sri Lanka. And I'm a big fan of Sri Lanka. I think it's
It's
fabulous.
gorgeous. Yes, so
Mm,
lovely, so lovely.
yeah,
And I guess when I
absolutely.
go to the States and so on for trade shows, and I mean, I love checking out hotels there. There's some that really are close to my heart, like Shutters on the Beach. I don't know if you know
Oh,
this, Shandon one. It seems to be
beautiful.
like just a very big Halcyon House. I love it. And the other one
Yes,
is Parker Palm Springs with that
okay.
beautiful breeze block wall. And I thought this looks very familiar.
Yes,
Yeah, so I
yes.
do love I do try to stay boutique and experience boutique hotels a lot. We had a quick trip down to Sydney last week and stopped in at Surf Yamba, which is a lovely little
Oh,
boutique motel right on the beach there at Yamba. And then on the way back, the newly opened Cece Hotel, which is gorgeous at
yes.
Crescent Head, yes.
Okay, yes, they've been writing to me, and the Yamba one I don't know, so thank you.
It's
I'll
just
have
a
to. It's
sweet
very
little
close.
hotel. Yeah, it's 12 rooms. There's no restaurant, but it's got a beautiful rooftop with a pool and just a sitting area where you can relax. But there's so many places to eat and drink in Yamba that I think it works really well, that model. I think they've done a great job.
Wow, Tamworth has some fantastic hotels too. If you haven't
I've
been,
heard that. Yeah.
yeah,
Just heard
Australia's got some little secrets.
yes, I agree. I agree.
And do you find yourself when you're staying in a hotel? Do you find yourself being highly critical, like are you a pain to travel with? Because people say I am.
I wouldn't say I'm critical. What I
Yeah.
always love to do is I always love to come away with at least one takeaway and go, wow, that's fantastic. I love that idea. I love how they're doing that. They're doing that so well. And, maybe that's something I could incorporate into Halcyon without being too obvious.
Yes. Yes.
But I
No.
think that's really important. I like to always have a little takeaway, and I mean, it's so great to experience what other people are offering, and it's nice to
Oh,
be
yeah.
diverse as well. You don't want to be exactly the same as somebody else.
100%. And I think one of the other takeaways, which I can clearly see that you do here, is constantly evolving. The luxury industry, particularly in these recent times since COVID, I think, the clientele are more demanding. They're seeing more of the world. And, really keeping up with trends and consumer demand, I think, is a really big part of the industry now.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing that we're seeing, and that's also being reported, is guests are not just wanting the hotel anymore. They want the experience, they want the destination. They're very interested in sustainability and also,
Mm,
experiences and I guess giving back to the community. So that's become
yes.
really important. And it's apparently recorded that over 75% of tourists or travelers are wanting that. So we're very big on sustainability here at the hotel. There's always more things that we can improve on.
Yeah. What
And
are, what are you doing for sustainability? I know you've got Evo in the bathrooms, the
we've got Evo.
products.
So no, we've never actually had small plastic bottles ever. We've always had those refillable Evo bottles. I got rid of the plastic bottles about 4 years ago. So the
Yeah.
water bottles. So it's just glass that are refillable. So they're completely reusable. Towels, obviously, we do all the sort of, rehang your towel and really sort of promote and push that. That's really important to us. And then with regards to community, there's, we offer for guests pre-arrival. We probably didn't do this because we didn't do a pre-arrival with you, but if they want to get back into the community and plant trees, so a lot of June care.
Ah,
So there are several groups. So there's always a time that guests can jump into the community,
beautiful.
replant trees, look after the dunes. And I mean, that's, I think, so rewarding as well.
Totally. I totally agree. How wonderful. And look, before we go, we ask all of our guests where to from here. And it could be what you're doing today, like going and having a champagne after a podcast, or it could be where your
Happy
next
with you.
adventure is or what's happening with Halcyon House. So where to from here for you, Laura?
Oh, great. Well, I have a few little where to's, and I guess, yes, definitely a glass of champagne with you would be fabulous to debrief, of course.
Brilliant.
But I am going to Greece in probably about 2 months' time. So we're
Where are you
going
going?
sailing. We're going to, I guess, where are we going? We're going to the islands off to the west. So
Beautiful.
looking forward to that. I'm not sure how far we'll get. My daughter really wants to go to Crete. And I said,
Yes.
I don't think we're going to make it down that far. We're in a sailing boat, but you never know.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But looking forward to
Beautiful.
that, just having a week with friends and, having amazing sort of salads and food and wine and so on. And I guess because it's our 10th birthday this year, it's just sort of sharing that with the community and with Australia and with our inbound guests and so on, and really sort of sharing the love about what we've been doing for the last 10 years.
Yeah, how exciting. And congratulations. That's no small achievement to celebrate 10 years here at Halcyon House. And I want to help you spread the word because it is so rare. I'm surprised by anything in Australia. And I'm not just surprised, I'm blown away. This is true luxury. It is true tranquility. It is gorgeous. Your staff are beautiful. The hotel itself is absolutely divine. And my friend here, she's just saying, oh my gosh, where's this been all my life? As am I. So congratulations. And thank you for coming
Oh,
on to the show.
it's a pleasure, Renae. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Great. Perfect. We look forward to it.
All right, let's go and have a champagne.
Perfect. We'll see you soon.
Okay, bye, Laura.
Bye.
Fantastic. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe here and follow us on Instagram and Facebook for regular travel updates. You can also hear our episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.